I'm Iris Tao in for Steve Lance. At least 104 people are dead following devastating floods through Central Texas. Dozens remain unaccounted for. As rescue and recovery efforts continue, the area is still dealing with more severe weather. A flood watch covering nearly 5 million people, including all of the flood disaster areas, remains in effect. During the ongoing rescue efforts, a Coast Guard crew is being praised for rescuing 165 people at a girls' camp. NTD correspondent Jason Blair has the story.
One man and his crew single-handedly rescued 165 people.
It took us about 4 different attempts to try to make our way into Kerrville. We heard there was about 200 campers there, and they were in need of airlift. There was no other way to get them out. Bridges were gone, roadways were gone, and the water was coming up too high for boat rescue.
The White House praises Ruskin and his team, saying from the U.S. military to first responders and volunteers, these brave Americans remind us who we are. When disaster strikes, they don't run from the storm, they run into it. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem calls Ruskin a hero. This was the first rescue mission of his career, and he was the only triage coordinator at the scene. Scott Ruskin is an American hero. His selfless courage embodies the spirit and mission of the U.S. Coast Guard. Noem also commented on the situation while on Fox News.
I was there on Saturday and spent my time with the governor and the emergency management responders and a lot of the families that have been impacted, some of the parents of those kiddos at Camp Mystic as well. It was absolutely devastating.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt commented on the floods.
Everyone here at the White House, including the President of the United States, is praying for the victims' families and friends during this unimaginable time. The situation on the ground remains dangerous, and there could be additional public safety threats with potential incoming heavy rain. So we encourage everyone in the area to remain vigilant, listen to all warnings, and respond accordingly.
Leavitt also defended the Trump administration and the National Weather Service from critics over the floodings.
Blaming President Trump for these floods is a depraved lie, and it serves no purpose during this time of national mourning. The National Weather Service did its job. Despite unprecedented rainfall, the National Weather Service executed timely and precise forecasts and warnings.
At least 27 campers and counselors from Camp Mystic have been confirmed to have died, with 10 still missing. Jason Blair, NTD News.
And joining me now to talk about what he's seeing on the ground in Hill Country, Texas, is filmmaker Chris Burgard. First, Chris, give us an update here. How are things looking on the ground? Thank you so much for coming on. How are things looking on the ground, and what has recovery support looked like so far?
So you're very welcome. Thanks for having me. On the ground, it's just so inspiring. It's sad. It's sad and inspiring at the same time. There are still family members out here on the riverbanks hoping that they'll find their loved ones. And at the same time, you've got ranchers, local residents, local and state law enforcement, firefighters, heavy machine operators. Just everyone in the world has descended down here to help. And to see everybody helping is just, you know, I'm from East Texas. I'm a little ways away from here. I came down here and got back after we were trying to locate some remains. And at the church here, a church had come down from Dallas to set up a barbecue and was feeding everybody. They drove all the way down from Dallas. It's a disaster. It's horrible. It's sad. Behind me, you can see this overpass. Underneath it, I'm looking at a pickup truck, an SUV, another car that are just crunched and mangled beyond imagination for the power of the water. I'm actually standing in the middle of the Guadalupe River right now as I'm speaking to you. It's gone down that much. But if you could see the trees around me, 20, 30 feet up, there's mattresses, there's clothing. It's just unimaginable. But the response has just been heartwarming. This is Texas. I don't mean to drone on too long. We were in North Carolina. In North Carolina, it was hard in some of those hollers. We were working with some folks for a week before they saw help from the government. Down here in Texas, local residents and Governor Abbott and everybody that's down here, even Borstar's down here, federal, everybody's down here just doing the best they can. And it's very inspiring. It's sad and inspiring all at the same time.
Well, definitely all hands on deck in this situation. And of course, thank you so much for bringing us the on-the-ground observations here. And of course, we've heard some meteorologists saying that it would have been impossible to better predict the flood with current science. Today, White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt responded to concerns about staffing cuts.
The San Angelo office was fully staffed with 12 forecast meteorologists. There were no vacancies. The San Antonio office was operating with 11 forecasters. And as Brian said, the union themselves said that there was adequate staffing. So I think those words speak for themselves and the numbers speak for themselves. This was a once-in-a-century flash flood.
And of course, we've all seen the devastating effect of the storm. What do you make of the nature of this storm? And do you think there could have been more done to prevent this event from happening?
I'm not a meteorologist, ma'am. I've been lucky to be boots on the ground in interesting places in the last 20 years. The residents down here, it hit them in the middle of the night. As far as this storm and the kind of storm it was, I've never seen anything like that in Texas. It'd be really interesting to see how that cell formed, how it deployed. We've never seen anything like that down here before. I don't know how you prepare for that.
Is there any area or specific needs that you hope the government, whether it be local, state, or federal, can do more to support the ongoing recovery efforts there?
I've been so much focused on the river and the residents around here, so I haven't seen the big picture. I do know right here in Hunt, Texas, where we are, Fire Chief Lee, the head of the volunteer fire department here, he was asking for some help and for donations. I know there's water everywhere, there's Gatorade everywhere, so stuff's getting down to us down here. From a higher level, from the federal government, Border Star's here. That's like the special ops guys of the Border Patrol, so they're sending their best and their finest. DPS, that's Texas Department of Public Safety, they're all over here. The Rangers are all over here. Fish and Wildlife, our game wardens. It's all go-to, all hands on deck. There's just really a lot of help down here. There really is. It's like I said, it's very inspiring.
And out of all these inspiring moments here, any moment or anecdote that really stood out to you, reminding you of the strength of the community here?
Yeah, a couple of moments. There was a Gator, it's a side-by-side that you can drive, a little four-wheel vehicle, and it was carrying a load of rescuers and recovery operators, and it was being driven by a 9-year-old local kid. And that's Texas for you. This 9-year-old kid was in there doing, a full adult man's job. That was one moment. There was another moment that it just made me happy to find a dead cow, and it was a dead cow and not a person. So that was a good moment for me.
And Chris Burgard, thank you so much for coming on to share with us your experience and what you're seeing on the ground there. We're all sending you prayers and, of course, best wishes with what's going on down there when it comes to recovering as well as rescuing. Thank you so much for coming on.
God.
And President Trump cranking up the pressure on trading partners today by informing a dozen of countries of new tariff rates. The White House tells NTD that the president will take any action to prevent countries from taking advantage of the U.S. And President Trump on Monday sent 12 letters to different countries threatening them with new tariff rates if they don't strike a trade deal with the U.S. by August 1st. That includes 25% on Malaysia, 30% on South Africa, and 36% on Cambodia. South Korea and Japan are also hit with a new 25% tariff. The White House says the president continues to seek tailor-made trade deals with each country.
I told all of you that the president was going to create tailor-made trade plans for each and every country on this planet. And that's what this administration continues to be focused on. Or these new rates that will be provided in this correspondence to these foreign leaders will be going out the door within the next month, or deals will be made. And those countries continue to negotiate with the United States.
At the same time, Trump is also taking some of the edge off with a new executive order on Monday to extend the date for all reciprocal tariffs to August 1st. And shortly after President Trump informed South Korea of the new tariff rate, the South Korean government is now getting back, saying that it's now going to step up negotiations with the U.S. The White House says Trump's tariff policies have been working in getting the U.S. new trade deals.
The fact that he has announced a framework with China, a trade deal with the United Kingdom, a trade deal with Vietnam, and many others to come in just a matter of 6 months is truly historic, and it's a testament to this president and his trade team who are working around the clock to get this done.
On Sunday, President Trump announced that any countries aligning themselves with the, quote, anti-American policies of BRICS will be subject to an additional 10% in tariff. The BRICS alliance, which includes China, Russia, and South Africa, has repeatedly called for an end of the U.S. dollar as the global reserve currency. The White House tells me that the president is trying to stop these countries from taking advantage of the U.S.
Well, the president feels, generally speaking, that BRICS is seeking to undermine the interests of the United States. It's the president's utmost responsibility to put the interests of the United States first. He'll take any action necessary to prevent countries from taking advantage of the United States and our people.
And in other news, on Monday night, the president is having dinner with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.